Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today, guys, I'm going to be continuing my AFL 2024 round reviews and round previews. In today's video, reviewing round 11 and previewing round 12. So round 11 was the second round of Sir Nichols' round, and on the Thursday night, I saw Sydney defeat the Western Bulldogs by 14 points in a pretty good game of footy. Friday night was another drawn game this year. Collingwood's second draw of the year. They drew with Fremantle. First game Saturday saw Port Adelaide defeat North Melbourne comfortably by 59 points, and Carlton regained some form against Gold Coast by 29 points. In the twilight, GWS played a cracking game with Geelong. The Giants won by 4 points in Geelong, and Dreamtime the G was no disappointment, with the Bombers winning by 12 against a very good Richmond outfit this week. And then first game Sunday saw Hawthorn with the upset win over the Lions by 25 points, Melbourne defeating St Kilda by 38, and the Crows smashing West Coast by 99 to finish the round of footy. So after round 11, this is how it stands at the moment. The Swans are still clear on top, Essendon are in second, and then Port Adelaide in third, and it's a pretty tight race at the moment in terms of the top 8. And make sure to pause if you want to see the full thing. And the Coal Medal sees Charlie Curnow lead on 33 goals, followed by Ben King 32, Jesse Hogan 31, and Jake Waterman on 30. Now time for the round 12 preview, and there are a few buys this round. Probably good to start with that. Brisbane, North Melbourne, Sydney, and the Giants all having buys this round. Thursday night footy, Port Adelaide and Carlton at the Adelaide Oval. This one is a big game of footy. Port Adelaide sit third on the ladder. The Blues sit in 8th spot. And, well, the winner here gets a huge bit of momentum heading in to the mid-season, where both sides do need a good win to really solidify themselves as a genuine contender. And the Blues last week really found some form they needed. They've been off for a few weeks. They needed that win. They got it. And this win here, if they can win this game, this is massive for their year. Gets them right back on track, and it brings Port Adelaide back with the chasing pack as well. So a game like this is really important because the margin for either side. Whereas if the Blues lose that, they'll probably fall back out of the 8, and if Port win, they'll really be hanging on to third, and if Essendon lose, they could jump into second, and then if they lose, the Blues and Port fall back into the pack, and then the Blues catch up. So it's such a big game, this one, in terms of what it'll do for the rest of the ladder. I do think Port Adelaide are too strong at the Adelaide Oval, and I do think they'll win by 11 points, but this one's definitely a 50-50 game. Friday night footy is another big game at Marvel Stadium. It's going to be Collingwood taking on the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium in a big Friday night game. There's a couple big Friday night games involving the Western Bulldogs. They're playing another Friday night one next week against the Lions as well. So there's a couple of really big games for the Western Bulldogs, and they've got to win one. They've got to take a big scalp, and I mean, they're playing both the grand finalists from last year back-to-back weeks at Marvel Stadium. So they really need to win one of them, I believe, to be a genuine contender. And winning this game is huge, and it is against an undermanned Collingwood outfit. They have had plenty of injuries, and they've just got more from their game last week against Fremantle, where they did draw. They had the game, and then they just let go of it with moments to go. And then, the Western Bulldogs, it's been a season of up and down for them right throughout the year, and they competed with Sydney, to say the least. They did compete and had some unfortunate moments and injuries from that game as well. So both these two sides are going to be going in without some of their players that would be picked every day of the week in their 22. So it's going to be a less strength Collingwood versus a less strength Bulldogs. So it's just going to be who can play better on the night with the side that's out in the park. And I do think Collingwood will just be the better of the sides by 14 points, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised if the Western Bulldogs did claim a big scalp here. I do think they could genuinely do it. First game Saturday is going to be Hawthorn taking on Adelaide at the MCG. Hawthorn, they're back to their form of last year, like where they are a genuine threat in every game, and this is another game which they are definitely a genuine threat in. They're finding ways to win against some really good oppositions, as they've done. And last week, as I said, if they were in the game at three-quarter time, which they most definitely were, they played really well in the last quarter. They absolutely brought the game home. They played very well in the last quarter, probably the best of the game in that last quarter. The game was on the line, it was there to be won, and they won it. And that was definitely a big learning lesson they learnt from the week prior against Port Adelaide, where they shut it down. They played really well last week. So the Hawks, they're claiming big upsets, and they're gonna claim a lot of them, and they'll win more games they did last year. Now, it's just going to be whether they can take down the Crows. The Crows, they need a win as well. They need to try and hang with the group of top 8 competitors, and a win here for the Hawks would see them jump skip Adelaide. And I mean, not saying that all the way down to 14th is in finals contention, but this game is an elimination final. The loser definitely won't be making it from here. It's going to be hard for these two sides to make finals anyway, but just in context of how the season's going, the loser here won't make it. I think the Crows will be too strong, winning by 13, but I definitely think the Hawks would be a good chance in this game as well, in a 50-50 game. But as I said before, the winner to keep in touch with the top 8 has to win here. And then in the twilight, we've got West Coast taking on St Kilda at Optus Stadium. Now, this one is going to be 16th versus 15th. It's a bottom 4 clash, but it's a big clash for these two sides who both need a win. West Coast last week were disappointed, and St Kilda, well, that's just been their run of form recently. They've been really disappointed. They haven't played well this year since probably that. I mean, their best game of the year was that round 2 win over Collingwood. That was their best win of the year, and they only beat North Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, and since then they've played pretty disappointing. So they're going to be looking to play well against West Coast, but they're going to be travelling to Perth. It's going to be hard, and West Coast do play great footy there. They've beaten good sides there. They took it up to Essendon, they beat Melbourne, they beat Fremantle. So their record at Optus Stadium this year is pretty good for West Coast, which I think just leads me to saying that they'll get the win by 42 points pretty comfortably. I feel like the way they played against Melbourne, St Kilda are similar to Melbourne in the way they like to prioritise defence over attack. They've barely been able to score. I just think West Coast will be way too strong and dominant in this game. Saturday night footy is going to be at GMHBA Stadium. It's going to be Geelong taking on the Tigers. Richmond played so much better last week. They had effort, they had a bit of spark, and they had a bit of Dustin Martin vintage, which when he's up and about, the Tigers are also up and about, and they played really well last week and nearly defeated the Bombers. They hung around for a large portion of the game but couldn't quite get the job done due to the Bombers just having a more classy and better outfit on the night. And I mean, look, the Tigers, they're still missing so many players due to injury as well. It's been an unfortunate year for them, and last week the effort that was shown, if they had a few more players out on the park, they probably would have won. So it does show that when they get a few players back towards the back end of the year, when they've got a bit more of a full strength side, they'll be able to take it up to a few teams. So there were definitely positive signs from last week for the Tigers. And well, for the Cats, another game dropped at GMHBA. Now, look, I said it last week, you don't want to be losing too many games at your home venue, especially when it's a big advantage. You do not want to be dropping this one. Geelong do not want to drop this. It is a very worst case scenario. They lose this. And look, if they lose this game, their season is in all sorts of problems at the moment. They started 7-0. And they're on a bit of a losing streak at the moment, and they also haven't won a game at GMHBA for a few weeks as well. So don't want to be losing this one. I don't think they will. I think they'll respond back in very good fashion by 85 points and show that they're still really good. Sunday footy action going to start off at Alice Springs. It's going to be Melbourne taking on Fremantle. Two of the best defensive sides going to be going head to head in this game. Now, both these two sides we know love their defence, so it should be a low-scoring one. And of course, we know Melbourne play one game in Alice Springs per year, and this time they're going to be playing Fremantle, which should be quite an interesting matchup. It's going to be 4th versus 9th, and of course, we know both sides like to defend. So this one is going to be, there's not really going to be a lot of scoring going on, as both these sides play in low-scoring games. So I think it'll be interesting, though. Like Melbourne last week, they played alright against St Kilda. They didn't absolutely destroy them, although the Saints did kick a few late goals. They were on top for most of it and kicked inaccurately 14-16. And Fremantle played alright last week against Collingwood as well. But they did kick accurately, which if they had have missed a few more of those shots, they would have lost the game by a fair bit. I think Fremantle in the upset win this game by 7 points, but look, this one could really go either way. And the final game of the round, speaking of a 50-50, Gold Coast versus Essendon, is exactly that, up on the Gold Coast at People First Stadium. And, I mean, this is a huge game here. Gold Coast at home, to keep yourself in the finals hunt, you've got to win games at home, especially when they've shown they're not great on the road. They've got to win their games at home. They get an Essendon. Well, they're sitting second at the moment, and if they can get the win, I think it's huge for their season, and I'm pretty sure they'll be making finals from there. It'll be hard to miss for the Bombers if they can win this game. They're sitting in second at the moment, but again, though, a loss and the rest of the pack draws that bit closer. And, of course, the Suns can really jump into that pack shall they win this game. And then if they lose, separation will only continue to grow. So I think the Gold Coast Suns will be too strong, winning by just 3 points. So I think this will be a cracking game. And really, being honest, I just think this is a 50-50. Could go either way. As I mentioned earlier, buys for the round: Brisbane, North Melbourne, Sydney, and the Giants. So we'll go back over my tips. Does look to be a very interesting round of footy. So my tips are Port Adelaide, Collingwood, Adelaide, West Coast, Geelong, Fremantle and Gold Coast. It is going to be a cracking round of footy, this one. This is my ladder after round 12, and of course the ladder is going to be a bit uneven for the next few weeks due to the bye rounds. Pause if you want to see the full thing. Thank you guys all so much for watching, so please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone, Flame Footy out.